Welcome to Benefits of Business. This is episode number 6, where we will be talking about what does your website say about you? Like how I did that?
A little bit.
All right, we got one of the hosts. We got Rylan here, and we got
Cameron.
Mr. Cameron. All right, Cam, we're going to go over the good things and the bad things about websites. The good things. All right, number 1, helpful content. The content is the pinnacle of your website because Google looks at the relevancy of your content based on what users are Googling. So if you actually Google, where is the closest food chain, whatever, food near me, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or more specifically, if you sell bats, you would want to say sports bats or blah, blah, blah bats. All these different terms you want to make sure, and I'll just jump into my advanced thing right now. This is a side note. You want to make sure, and if anytime you have a website, you have a website so that it can get seen by people. If you don't do what I'm about to say, then it most likely won't be seen because your website's not about relevancy. So you do the keyword research and make sure the keywords have a certain amount of volume and you can actually get ranked for these keywords. What I mean by that is some keywords are super hard to rank for, like if you were to go and rank for something like everyone is going out and ranking for, like huge companies like phones. Apple is ranking for it,
right.
And AT&T and Verizon. Like if you're a startup phone company, it's going to be super hard.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The next one, do you have anything, about content?
Well, I think the content is also like what content you're putting out to your customers. Like you want them to see the content to help them for what they're looking for. So if your content, you type sports bats and then on there for some reason you wrote a thing about baseball bats, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's a flower store.
Right,
Like your content's nowhere near to like making sense. Yeah. And so I think that's another thing. If they're not looking, if it's not good content, it's bad content, which equals people immediately jumping off.
Right. And another side note, guys, a lot of people say, oh, I'll just write my own content. There's a certain criteria to what good SEO content. When we say good content, we mean SEO content. So a certain percentage of passive voice, the key phrase has to be within the content a certain amount of time. Like for example, if you have a 500-word blog, your key phrase only needs to be in there maybe 3 times, maybe 4.
Right.
If you have a 1,000-word blog, it's got to be in there like double that. So like 7, 8 times or whatever the numbers are.
Exactly, in the subheading and making sure it's easy to read for everyone.
Yeah, readability, all of it. So the next one is mobile responsiveness. So you want to make sure, this one's pretty self-explanatory. It's mobile responsive, so you shrink your site down. It automatically conforms to tablet mode, to, iPhone.
I actually just did a thing on Dreamweaver about like shrinking to different sizes of the pixels of how big it's going to be and what the screen size is actually. So if it's a cell phone versus a computer screen versus a bigger computer screen versus a TV. In another issue that you were saying is how many people actually go on and use their phones compared to their desktops. What was the statistic?
It's like nowadays it's about almost 80% of people are doing their Google searches on their mobile phone.
So what if they don't have a good mobile response? Like if I'm looking on there and it doesn't load for 12 seconds.
Oh yeah, that's another thing is with mobile responsiveness, hand in hand, we should definitely add in site speed. Because if your site speed sucks, people are just impatient. They don't care about you that much. They really don't. People just want their info and they want it now.
Exactly.
So if you and guys, you wouldn't believe if you have a 6-second or a 5-second load time and then your competitor has a 2-second load time. You wouldn't think it's that much difference, but really it is. It's
I remember
huge difference.
When you're working at a few businesses, you'd be like 1, 2, 3, and you count it all the way to like 8 seconds. Like that's how slow your website is. And be like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is when somebody's trying to get something they want now.
If you say, hey, my website loads in 5 seconds, that sounds fast, but if you're sitting there, like, and that's how you sell people.
Right, exactly.
Literally, like, okay, all right, we're going to your website, enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, that's a long time.
Right, it
sitting
is.
There, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
The next one, this is a very simple to do. An SSL certificate is what it's called, securing your website. Your website's in the URL, so the main actual domain of your actual domain structure will have a green little lock on the left of it, and it'll say connection is secure. If it's red and it says it's not secure, or it has it where some websites even pop up and say you can't access this site because it's not secure.
Yeah, I think it's like about, I would say, like, I don't want to make an exaggerated number, so like 25% of every website that I look at is not secure.
Right.
And like some of them are on the, first page, but some of them, you're on the 8th, 9th, and you're looking at these other websites, or you're trying to find a specific article to better help you out, and it's just ridiculous because it's like, oh, this website's not secure.
Right.
It can get, if it has important information on it, it could potentially be hacked. People can get
See,
into it.
And a side note, Cam, I used to talk to a lot of people, and everyone thinks they know everything, right? They're always
Right.
like, oh yeah, my website, I do it, I made it, I know it, whatever. Oh yeah, Cam, don't worry about it. I don't sell anything on my website, so screw you. I would get that a lot when I was
Right.
selling people websites, like, oh, no, Rylan, shut up. I don't sell anything. I don't need any of that. Doesn't matter.
So why do
No,
you
you
need it?
idiot. It does matter. Google's 200 ingredients that come together, and if one of your main ingredients is the security of your site, if you don't have that, it's going to de-rank you or not help your ranking at all.
Or not be able to show your website.
Right, exactly. Or you can't even see your website. So that's what I say is like, it's like baking a cake for people that don't know what the heck SEO is. Search engine optimization goes hand in hand with your website because you could have $1 million website, but if you don't have SEO, search engine optimization, you're not going to be on the first page. And guys, it's like 94.5% of all website searches, so Google searches, only click on the first page.
I know, it's crazy.
So it's just something that you need it, but it's like baking that cake. If you literally bake a cake and it takes us 3 hours to bake a cake and you only miss one ingredient, like let's say I'm doing it,
Sugar.
it looks amazing, it smells amazing, whatever, and I miss sugar, like Cam said, then you go to taste it, looks amazing, smells amazing, is amazing, guess what, it's not amazing because you taste it and it's bland. Have you had a sugarless cake, Cam?
or no salt or no egg, so it just like falls apart. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's kind of the
All
big
bad.
thing there. It's just kind of bad. The next one, the back end. This is kind of more in-depth, guys. This is advanced, but your website is not just your aesthetics, the looks of your site. It is actually the coding. Google, take the emotion out of it. Google looks at code. Even if you have a Facebook tab on your site, hey, I got my Facebook on my website. Why is Google saying that I don't have social media? Because your Facebook URL is not coded into the back end of your website. So we just mean have your site optimized for SEO. That's what this means. Meta description, describing your website. So when people look at, hey, Google whatever, you look at the title of it, that little content, that little paragraph below that title is your meta description. It's literally describing what this site's about. So that's the stuff that Google looks at. That's important.
100%. I agree with. I love the word aesthetic. It's one of my favorite words, and I think everyone's right. It could be the prettiest thing, and I think you hit it on the head with the cake analogy.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
great.
It's pretty easy to explain that way. Even though SEO, like, it sounds simple. Hey, get me on the first page of Google, but dude, it's a nightmare when we actually put it into practice, right? And
Right.
it takes a lot of time.
Absolutely.
All right, last one that you want to really focus on is make sure your branding is good across all platforms. This is a huge one because that says a lot more about the big picture of your whole company as a whole. So if you have of all the same images for your logo across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these social platforms, your LinkedIn, all the stuff, you have a similar, or at least it doesn't even have to be the same copy and pasted, even though that's probably the best play. But even if it's the same like slogans you use, the same idea for like cover photos and whatnot, you just don't want to be like purple rainbow on this one and then blue sunshine over here. Like, you know what I mean? You want to have them all unified somewhat.
Well, I think it's more than that too. I think it's going into what you're putting in your printing promotion. So
Right.
if you're printing off things and you're using programs or using brochures, it's all consistent on there. It's also consistency with how like you said, the logo looks and where it's being placed.
Even email signatures.
Yeah,
Everything.
email signatures. Also, the colors on your webpage, like that, it's easy to look at. I know one thing. I don't know if we already went through it, but the navigation of it. It's easy for me to go on a website and I can go through it, and so it's easy for me as a user. I'm like, oh, this is so mobile friendly, or this is so friendly on my desktop. I click this and it goes exactly to where I want. When I want to go back, it works where I can go back. Some websites you click on the top and you're hoping it goes back home, and all of a sudden it's at the very bottom left, and that's how you can get back to the home page
Right.
instead of hitting back at the top or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's these little things that makes it easier for me as a person going on there to be like, oh, this is way easy. I love it. It looks good. It feels good. It is good. And so then you'll use it consistently or tell somebody about it.
100%. I agree. All right, the next part, guys, we're going to go into some of the bad things that, honestly, 80 to 90% of sites, this first one, I see this, the content is super out of date, or it's not even SEO content. So it's just the owner or someone said, oh yeah, write content about Ted's zucchinis or whatever. And it's just not SEO content, or a lot of the times they just don't post at all. Like they post every maybe 6 months
or never
4 months or never.
And so it's just out of date, or they put up the website in 2016 and it still says 2016 was the last time it updated.
Or there's a lot of times that like the first 6 months they're doing amazing at content.
Right.
And then we look at like, oh, this guy started in 2017. Oh, awesome, blogs. Here's some blogs. 2017. Okay, end of 2017. Oh, he had one in February 2018. Then boom, stops cold turkey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is the one you were talking about. Navigation of your site is terrible. So the navigation, and you don't have to have a crazy website, but there needs to be call to action. That's kind of the next one as well. Is call to action getting in touch coexists as well with the navigation. So having a clean menu bar, drop down, it makes sense for like services. Boom, it has these. A lot of the times too, I want to add in this, and I know these are bigger companies, but I think it's overwhelming, and I'm a website guy, but I think it's overwhelming when like you have these huge healthcare websites or these companies that have so many services they offer. They have a services drop-down menu and there's like 30 options. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't even care anymore. I'm not. It's just overwhelming. Like it makes you want to just go back and go to somewhere else that's like easier to use.
Right, or there's like the search bar at the top and it actually goes to what you want. Like sometimes people have search bars and I type in and it doesn't work. And I'm like, why is it even here? Like why would you put something even there? Or you have the floating icons. Yeah, floating icons, and it's just following me around this page. I'm like, I don't want this here.
That's funny. But yeah, that's the other thing too, guys, is call to action. Make sure, they did a study on this. I can't tell you the percentage because I'll be wrong, but there was a study done that if you have a regular, let's say you have a white and black or white and gray website, kind of just a whatever color website, you want to make sure that you have your call to action button. So get in touch, call now, sign up now, newsletter, whatever. These buttons need to be like bright as heck. Green, red, blue, bright blue, you know, all these different weird colors, because it really draws the eye to those things and they will click on them more. There was a study in it. I want to say it was like an additional 6% or something, but my point is that number's probably wrong. That's just a guess that I just did. But that's the point, is having good coloring to your call to action, because you want to draw the naked eye to where you want it to click, right?
Absolutely. I'm glad you explained call to action, because like some people don't even know what that is though. Right. Like they're like, what does that mean? Now you give them clarity of like, oh, when I pop up to a website, that's what that's called.
Right. I want to actually whatever you're trying to get them to click on. You know what I mean? Exactly. Take action, damn it. The next one, and this one's really good for, and this is harder at the beginning of a business, but getting good reviews. And don't fake your reviews either. Like there's a lot of ways you can
companies.
Even reputation companies. I think they're all just a bunch of kind of like fraudulent things. And I just say that blatantly because I've dealt with a lot of them where it's just like, we'll get you reviews, and it's like, well, like how? Unless you have like an automated text message system that right when your patients, if you're in the healthcare, they come in, boom, automated text after they leave, sends them, hey, how did you like your service? Leave us a review. I've known to do that in the healthcare community, but other than that, it's kind of hard to get genuine reviews unless you're just on it doing email campaigns, doing different things.
So I went to a collision repair place because I got in an accident, and they actually were like, hey, you're putting in for this thing, it's a $200 thing we put in every 2 weeks, and you win this prize. So they're like, if you give a review, you could potentially win this. Right now, they were like, oh, we've only had 4 people put in for it, so you have really good odds right now because we're dead.
So they got an additional 4 reviews off of it.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And so you're incentivizing in different ways for somebody to give a review. I think that's another good way.
That is a good way. Make sure it's legal, though.
Right,
depending on your state.
Not just being like, here's $20, give me your
$20, review me, bro.
Doesn't do anything.
But no, other than that, that's some good things. We noticed a little bit of advanced on the SEO side of things, but that goes really coexist with your website, and then some bad things to try to stay away from. Subscribe, that's a good one. And thanks for joining us this week on Benefits of Business.